Hey guys, today we're testing advertised velocities. Lots of times on the box of ammunition that you buy, they have a published or advertised velocity on the box. And most of the time that's pretty optimistic. So we're going to test several varieties, rifles, shotguns, handguns, and see if they live up to their hype. These are 12 gauge T's, ounce and a quarter at 1400 feet per second. These are 9mm American Gunner, 124 grain plus P at 1175. So we'll see if these are both true and a variety of others. Okay guys, we're out on the range today, so bear with the noise and the wind in the background. We have 9 different types of ammunition that we're going to test our advertised velocities against. 12 gauge, number 6 shot, Remington Ultra Clay and Field with an advertised velocity of 1255 feet per second. 12 gauge 3-inch T-shot, ounce and a quarter, federal waterfowl loads, advertised at 1400 feet per second. 20 gauge 7/8 ounce 8-shot Remington game loads at 1225 feet per second. 20 gauge game and target number 8 7/8 ounce at 1210 feet per second. 9mm Parabellum Hornady American Gunner, 124 grain plus peak at 1175 feet per second. And then 22 caliber Remington Thunderbolt, 40 grain lead nose at 1255 feet per second. 7mm Remington Magnum Federal Power Shock, 150 grain soft point at an advertised 3110 feet per second. 308 Winchester 150 grain soft point Federal Power Shock at an advertised velocity of 2850. And then in the gun I happen to have 3 Hornady Critical Defense 115 grain standard pressure 9mm, and they're advertised at 1150 feet per second. So we'll shoot all of these one by one, record their velocities out of my rifles, and then we'll talk about what to expect for advertised velocities and why. So we'll start with the 22 with the Remington Thunderbolts. We'll fire 3 shots over the chronograph of each type of ammunition and see what we get. $1,239. $1,228. $1,253. Now we'll fire the 9mm with the 115 grain critical defense. 1150. 1152. And 1130. Now we'll shoot the American Gunners. 1245, 1227, and 1229. Now we'll shoot the 12 gauge Ultra Clay and Field, number 6 shot, ounce and an eighth. 1324. 1288 and 1314. Now the 12 gauge Federal T's, ounce and a quarter at 1400. 1544, 1571, and 1571. Now, the 20 gauge Remington Game Shot 7/8 ounce. 1276, 1259, and 1289. Okay, so back from the range, and we have a lot of info. So I have a lot of it written down, so bear with the looking back and forth from the camera. I have several disclosures before we get started into too much detail and data. First, chronographs don't agree. You could buy 10 chronographs from the store and they would all vary in their readouts a little bit. Mine could be at the very top end. We have no idea. I doubt it's going to be more than 50 or 75 feet per second between 10 or 20 different chronographs. So shouldn't be completely unrealistic, but it's very possible if someone is looking to get 25 or 50 feet per second that they may have to make that a wash in part of the variables of this unscientific experiment. We had a camera snafu. We shot 9 different loads. We got viable data on 8 of them. The 7mm was not caught on camera, though we do have the readouts for the velocity. One of the 20 gauge loads also was not caught on camera or recorded. This experiment is a perfect example of how a person can go in with a hypothesis and maybe it's actually a biased belief and find out they're wrong. This data has a tendency to disagree with my original hypothesis. Velocities, advertised velocities, are obtained at the factory where they make the ammunition in a test barrel. And they're going to be generous. They're not going to use a small barrel and report small velocities because large velocities sell ammunition better. However, they're going to want to be realistic because dishonesty won't help them either. I went into this and the hypothesis originally was kind of like they're going to be optimistic and probably at least a percentage of the time the actual velocities out of what one person generally owns as their gun may be just lower than what's on the box. Not everybody's going to have a rifle that makes them shoot to the top velocity. And so with that, you'll find on a Magnum rifle, maybe a 26-inch barrel, maybe on a non-Magnum rifle, they use 24-inch barrels. On a 30-30, they may use a 20-inch barrel. On a 22, they may use a 16 or 20. It's hard to say. So they will have velocities that they feel are appropriate, and they'll publish those. And most of the time, the box has it on it. Some of them don't. Remington green and yellow box doesn't always have the velocity on the box. So with that, the data. The 7mm Federal Power Shock blue box 150 grain soft point with a advertised velocity of 3,110 feet per second, averaged 3,134 feet per second. 2 inches extra barrel with a 26, and the box is stated shot out of a 24. So it's potential that 34 feet per second is coming from that extra 2 inches of barrel. The 9mm 115 grain Hornady standard pressure critical defense, advertised velocity of 1,140, and we got 1,144. That's within one deviation of one round to the next. That's doing everything it's supposed to out of our 4.5-inch barreled Smith & Wesson M&P 9. The 124 grain plus P jacketed hollow point American Gunner, advertised velocity of 1,175 feet per second, and we got 1,234. That's significantly more. It sounds like the plus P in this case is doing everything it's supposed to do and then some. The 20 gauge Federal Ultra Clay and Field 7/8 ounce with an advertised velocity of 1,225 feet per second. And out of our 20 gauge, we got 1,275. Now my 20 gauge has a 30-inch barrel with a full choke. It's definitely plausible that their test shotgun was 24 inches or 26 inches. So 1,275 makes perfect sense. The 12 gauge federal waterfowl loads T-shot at 1,400 feet per second advertised velocity. We got 1,558. Now that's 158 feet per second. That's significant. That's way more than one round to the next. So those are doing everything they're supposed to do. Or my Benelli just shoots rounds faster than other shotguns. The 12 gauge sixes, ounce and an eighth, at 1,255 feet per second advertised velocity, and we got 1,309. Maybe it is the Benelli shotgun that's shooting them a little faster. And the 22 long rifles, the Remington Thunderbolt 40 grain round nose at 1,255 advertised feet per second, and we got 1,240. Now I have a 16-inch barreled 22, and I don't know what the test rifle is for the Thunderbolts, but it's quite possible it's a 16-inch also, and 15 feet per second different is the same as one round to the next. So with that, you can kind of see that there are definitely manufacturers out there that have optimistic views of what their stuff will do. They tend to do that. They're trying to sell their ammo. However, everything we tested here today tested at or above where it was supposed to. Now, that could reflect the firearms they were shot out of, and we would have to set up another test to try and determine that. Or it could reflect these manufacturers. I think I have a tendency to pick Hornady and Remington and Federal. So with that, I guess the takeaway is you just don't know. You could be getting everything and then some out of your high pressure 9mm for personal protection. It could be doing everything you want, or you could be paying the extra money for no extra velocity, and you wouldn't know until you just tested it. So with that, thank you very much for watching the advertised velocity test video, and like and subscribe and support the page. Have a good day.